When Maya finally walked away, there was no announcement, no storm of words, no dramatic confrontation. She had learned that narcissists, manipulators, and cruel-hearted people thrived on the performance of conflict. They wanted her anger, her tears, her pleas. They wanted to know she was still tethered to them, still feeding their importance. So she gave them nothing. She simply closed the door and stepped into a silence that was hers alone. For years, Maya had been someone's emotional punching bag. She tolerated dismissive words, tolerated betrayal dressed as mistakes, tolerated apologies that came laced with excuses. She kept believing the lies, that she was too sensitive, that she was overreacting, that forgiveness meant allowing them back into her life again and again. Each time she offered her heart, they trampled it, and each time she patched it back together, weaker but still beating. But one morning, standing in front of the mirror, she saw the tiredness in her own eyes. She realized she had been negotiating with people who had no intention of changing. They didn't value her kindness. They exploited it. And in that moment, she made a decision, not to punish them, not to scream or demand payback, but to reclaim herself. That, she discovered, was the most devastating revenge. To stop revolving around the people who hurt her and to build a life so full and radiant they could no longer touch it. At first, it was small. She deleted numbers she had clung to out of habit. She blocked messages that tried to worm their way back into her peace. She stopped waiting for apologies, stopped checking to see if they cared. Instead, she poured her attention inward. She took long walks without her phone, reconnected with hobbies she had abandoned, read books that fed her spirit. Slowly, the constant noise of their voices in her head grew fainter. This was the first step: silence. Not the silence of defeat, but the silence of sovereignty. Maya no longer explained, defended, or begged to be understood. She let her absence speak for her. Those who once dismissed her began to notice it. Calls went unanswered. Invitations were declined. For the first time, she was untouchable, and they felt it. The second step was transformation. She started taking care of herself in ways she had neglected for years. She exercised, not to meet anyone's approval, but to feel her own strength. She cooked meals that nourished her, dressed in clothes that made her feel alive, and surrounded herself with colors and scents that lifted her mood. Each choice was small, but together they built a foundation of self-respect that no one could erode. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. The third step was success. Maya redirected all the energy she had once wasted on toxic people into her own goals. She launched the business she had always dreamed of. She learned new skills, put herself into projects, and achieved milestones she never thought possible. The same people who once belittled her, who laughed at her ambitions, began to hear about her accomplishments through whispers, through social media, through mutual friends, and it burned them. For them, Maya's happiness without their involvement was unbearable. People who hurt others often rely on the illusion that their victims cannot live without them. Seeing her free, radiant, and fulfilled shattered that illusion. They began to circle back, knocking on the door they had once slammed in her face. Messages arrived. "I've been thinking about you. I'm sorry for the past. Can we talk?" She recognized the pattern, the desperation when control slips away. This was the fourth step: indifference. She read their words and felt nothing. Not rage, not longing, just a detached calm. Revenge was not replying, not reopening wounds. Revenge was smiling at the life she had built, untouched by their manipulations. It was knowing that her joy now came from within and could not be bargained away. The fifth step was forgiveness, but not the kind she had practiced before. Forgiveness this time was not an invitation back into her life. It was not a gift for them at all. It was a gift for herself, a release from the weight of bitterness. Maya whispered it into the air, not to the ones who hurt her, but to her own heart. "I forgive, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." And with that, the last threads of attachment broke. Months passed, and the transformation became undeniable. Maya glowed in ways that couldn't be faked. She had new friends, healthier relationships, dreams blooming like spring after a long winter. The people who had once used her noticed from afar. Their pride wouldn't allow them to admit it outright, but the envy leaked through their words, their sudden attempts to reconnect, their insistence that they had changed. Some even wept when confronted with her silence, begging for the chance to make things right. This was the moment Maya understood the truth. People who hurt you will beg for forgiveness, not because they truly regret what they did, but because your strength exposes their weakness. Your happiness without them is a mirror they cannot bear to look into. And the best revenge is not cruelty, not retaliation, but the simple fact of your flourishing existence. The world shifted for Maya when she realized revenge was not about them at all. It was about her reclaiming the life they tried to steal. It was about planting flowers where they had left ruins, about turning scars into stories of resilience, about smiling without apology. Revenge was rising, not striking back, and because of that, it was permanent. One evening, as she walked home beneath a golden sunset, Maya's phone buzzed with yet another message from one of the people who had once wounded her most deeply. It was long, desperate, dripping with apologies and promises. She read it once, then deleted it without a reply. She didn't even feel the urge to respond. Her silence was the answer, her thriving life the proof. They were still trapped in the cycle of needing her attention. She was free. And in that freedom lived the sharpest, cleanest form of revenge, to become untouchable, to live well, to shine so brightly that the darkness that tried to consume her could never catch her again. Maya smiled as the sky deepened into twilight. She thought of the years she had lost, of the pain she had carried, of the countless times she had begged for understanding that never came. And then she thought of now, the peace, the joy, the strength, and she knew that everything had been worth it. Because the story was no longer about them, it was about her. The people who hurt her would continue to circle, to beg, to regret. But Maya had no interest in their apologies. Her life itself was the answer, her healing the proof, her happiness the only revenge that mattered. And in that quiet victory, she walked forward, untouchable, unshaken, finally and irrevocably free. This story is 1,101 words. Do you want me to trim it to exactly 1,100 words, or keep it as is?